Ngowi TV, informed economists and business perspective.
So the definition, as I said, the definition of local content, notwithstanding different countries have defined it slightly differently, or rather emphasize different elements of this definition. This is the reason we have invited Madam Mbaga. She is heading, directing local content overall for Tanzania. So she will tell us how do we understand it in Tanzania, which aspect do we emphasize? Is it employment? Is it local inputs, intermediate inputs? What is it that we want as Tanzanians? She will tell us.
This holistic approach to the whole aspect, and I'll go on maintaining, of national participation. Whether you use the value chain approach, use local economic development perspective or whatever, but eventually the whole thing must be holistic. The whole of the nation, the whole of government, the whole of academia, the whole of the private sector must be one in this approach.
Our education has to change. We have to change. Our education curriculum has to change. Why is our education curriculum so static? And why do we expect to be owners of oil fields and these things if our education is still the same? Wakati wa ujamaa angalau tulikuwa tunapigwa msasa kuimba ujamaa from primary school, and we believed in it because we are singing it. Today, is anybody singing about being a shareholder in the oil company? No, I don't think so. They are not even ambitious for anything. Maybe for music. They want to be like Diamond. Ask your children. They will not tell you I want to be an engineer. They'll tell you I want to be like Diamond.
And then the other most important thing, yes, we're talking about having policies in place, having legislations in place, but at the end of the day, if we don't have regulations, then it becomes almost impossible to force an investor or any organization that they need to adhere to certain procurement. So your example of that, now the mining sector was supposed to procure locally, but they were not procuring. If there are no regulations, it's difficult to enforce. So I think the other thing that we always need to take into account is how do we take the discussion further post-policy, post-legislation, and having in place regulations.
Based on the point discussed so earlier, and I thought that yes, we could first of all think about understanding this concept of local content. In my own view, a simple way of looking at this is to see whatever value chain that we can imagine, and we present it as a pie or a pie chart. And then through such a pie chart, you can now determine the share or the percentage of your participation from that pie chart.
It is only through strong collaborations, that is what I believe, that it is only through strong collaborations between all the stakeholders, which I believe is the government, because the government has to put the conducive environment for local content to take place. That is putting the policies, putting the legal framework, and also supporting locals in terms of capacity building. And for the private sector, it is for them now to take up the opportunity to build their capacities, to make sure that they reach the standards and qualifications which are required for them to participate in the investments.
Definitions are very important. Recently, we have seen the Mining Act being changed. You know why it has been changed? Because in the original mining contract, the definition was ours. Because it did not define our interests. 30 years down the line, we realize our interests are not there. And the poor guys, we say, this guy who signed this contract, we should cut his throat. No, it's not fair. We all failed to say what was that we wanted. And you can only say what you want if you define it. That's why I'm saying, when we first came with this local content concept, when oil and gas was introduced, if you attended all those lectures, and we attended many, there were conferences at Kilimanjaro, the message you left with how are you going to supply X and the service dog of your computer and your role to your local content? And we accepted that. So when we made the contracts, that's all we wanted. We in TCCIA informed our members in Gator, now you can sell X, you can sell bananas to those gold mines. Only to learn a few weeks later, no, bananas are coming from South Africa, South America, because your bananas and oranges are not of the standard we require. It's too many levels. But when Livingstone came to Africa, he ate the same bananas and oranges we are eating. So there are other interests beyond saying you don't want your bananas. Why? Because we, in the contract, have not said what we want. So, Chairman, definition is very important. Whatever method we use to reach that, we must make sure the definition is only defining our interests, not their interests.
Based on the point discussed so earlier, and I thought that yes, we could first of all think about understanding this concept of local content. In my own view, a simple way of looking at this is to see whatever value chain that we can imagine, and we present it as a pie or a pie chart. And then through such a pie chart, you can now determine the share or the percentage of your participation from that pie chart. And that comes now in mind that we have local, and once we have the concept local, it means we should have also foreign somewhere. So what is the percentage of local vis-a-vis foreign in that pie chart? That's the way we can simply understand the concept of local content in whatever we can do in this discussion. We are talking about agriculture, yes. And the point that has been raised, we should start now by looking at the share of local participation in the agricultural value chain. And reflecting on the earlier knowledge based on oil and the gas and so on, we think that we don't have yet a right number or a right percentage of local participation. I think this is the first challenge that we should have with the government itself. And I remember once I discussed with Ms. Esther, we thought about this. We should have a right number of what percentage is local in the entire value chain that we have. The second issue is this can be determined through different strategies. We can consider either local employment. We can consider either building the national industries. We can consider to build the skills in terms of how this can participate in the value chain. Once we have the right number of our participation, we can now go for the local content framework specifications. It's where the legal framework can now determine, because we have 5 to 15% for instance of participation, we can now target to move higher, either 40% or 50% or 70%, because we had earlier determined the share that we have in this sector. The third issue that I would like to discuss is the issue of linkages. We should have in mind the concept of diversification. we are talking about agriculture, and we know that yes, for those who have who are involved in the foreign direct investment, for instance, and we know that the sector is highly specialized. They require standard and other specifications, and we see that yes, agriculture can participate in whatever activities, whatever sectors. So we need now to build the concept of diversification. That means agriculture, for instance, should be strongly linked to other sectors. It's where now, if we specialize in what Adam said about we lack, for instance, issues of seeds processing or seed production and so on. It's where now we can determine we don't have this, and then we should specialize in this aspect, because we need to link these issues of seed production with other areas of production in the agriculture. And to come to this, we need to have a long-term vision, not just stopping by saying that yes, we know we want people to participate, we want the industry to participate, but we should have in mind, for instance, 30 years after they have participated, what do we want the industry to become? And that one should be competitive, because we have in mind a long-term vision in how we can build those capabilities. We are seeing here companies from Norway, from other parts of the world, because they have started in this way as a local content in their countries. Now they have expanded, they are now in other countries, because not only they have fought for short term, they have fought about long-term vision. It's where they have started small, and then become the big and the competitive industries. Issues of coordination is really important. We have conflicting issues regarding the regulations. In Ecuador, for instance, if I can borrow the knowledge from the oil and the gas, they have started this issue of coordination of knowledge. For whatever issue that talks about knowledge, whether it is coming from agriculture, the mining, the education itself, or the whatever sector, there is a coordinating mechanism. If there is a conference that is related to knowledge, the coordinator should be aware of. And he knows that yes, we have this percentage of knowledge in agriculture, we have this percentage of knowledge that is from mining and other sectors, because there is a coordination of all these issues regarding knowledge issues, for instance.
But what it boils down to is this holistic approach to the whole aspect, and I'll go on maintaining, of national participation. Whether you use the value chain approach, you use a local economic development perspective or whatever, but eventually the whole thing must be holistic. The whole of the nation, the whole of government, the whole of academia, the whole of the private sector must be one in this approach. Otherwise, we all go fragmented, and everybody will be talking about the small revenues that they are going to gain from here and there. We will lose the point. We need to be effective participants in the global economy. As far as Bitrina, if I can address one particular aspect, the JV, the interpretation of a JV, not as specifically with respect to foreign direct investment, but with respect to local, to national participation. That we have categories in this classification of enterprises that are fully foreign direct investments. But we have investments that have a local participation, a national participation, and they are in the form of a joint venture with foreign enterprises. That is the context in which the JVs were presented. Somebody said something about clusters. Appreciate we are having that second CEDA. Is it the second or the third? It will be the third. The third CEDA project. But let's make sure we don't end up in a chicken and egg situation where we are saying we want to see the results and the evidence so that we can act on cluster-based approaches. You need to act on cluster-based approaches and get the results, which will consolidate the action again to make sure that the whole thing is working. If you are looking for evidence from only a 5 or 10-year engagement, while the countries that have been engaged in cluster-based approach for more than 40, 50 years, then you'll find you're putting yourself in a chicken and egg situation. But I'm not saying that you should not be cautious in your approach. You need to be cautious in your approach and make sure that whichever cluster you're engaging, create that initiative that will give you both the best results and maybe in as short a time as possible. My Karefu, thank you so much. We need to focus on value-added human resources. I agree with you.